Welcome, grade 5s and parents. Today we are going to revise English home language for grade 5s. So if you are a parent here, please gather all my grade 5s here because we're going to go through a very important work here. Welcome to my classroom. I am Sir Rudolph Mathumbu. I am a professional teacher. I hold a degree in education and I am SAYS registered. If you need revision with all CAPS aligned subjects, you are in the right place. Please subscribe for more revisions. If you need private tutoring, please contact me using the contact details provided in the description of this video. Okay, let's get into today's lesson. So the instruction says this paper is made out of section A, which is a comprehension test, and it has 25 marks, and section B, which is language in context, and it has 15 marks. Then answer all the questions on the question paper. Answer in full sentences. Then it means you use full sentences. Use the number of the marks as a guideline for the details needed in your answer. So you look at the marks that are allocated for that question for you to be able to determine how much of details do they want from you. You may not use a dictionary. So they say you are not going to use a dictionary, but please write neatly and do your best. All right away we go to section A, which we have said is a comprehension test. Then it means we're going to read this passage and then answer questions later. The instruction here says read the text, then read the questions, then read the text a second time, thereafter answer the question. This is about clocks. That is the title. If we look back in time to the ancient people, there were no watches or clocks. So there were no watches or clocks back in the days. People were guided by sun. So they were guided by the sun. They woke when it rose and went to sleep when it set. So when it set, they went to sleep. When it rose, they would wake up. When the sun was directly overhead, they knew that it was midday or mid-noon. They planned everything according to the sun. So they used to plan everything according to the sun. The Egyptians built obelisks, which were tall columns that cast a shadow on the ground. Depending on the length and the position of the shadow, they knew what the approximate time was. Later, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Mesopotamians, and the Greeks started using sundials. They started using sundials. There were sticks which cast a shadow in the sun. They were just like obelisks, but smaller. By watching how the shadow moved, they could tell the time. The Chinese used candles which were notched. They told the time by how long it took for the candle to burn down. Hourglasses were another form of timekeeping, which were used. Just like an egg timer, these had sand which flowed from one side to the other through a narrow center. The Greeks and the Egyptians even used water clocks called clepsydras. These were containers with a tiny hole in the bottom. As water dripped out, it marked the passing of time. It wasn't until 2000 years later that mechanical clocks started popping up in the European towns. These early clocks didn't look much like the ones we have today. They were big, clunky machines, usually found in towns or churches, and they didn't even have minutes hand. They didn't even have minutes hand. It wasn't until the 20th century that wristwatches were invented. And today, many people don't even wear a watch, but rather rely on their smartphones to tell the time. However, one thing is certain: the world revolves around time. All right, now we're going to answer the questions. Question number 1, they say, before we had clocks, how did people know what time it was? Before we had clocks, how did they use to know what time was? And the answer is they used the sun. They used the sun to tell, this is the sun, to tell time. Then 2, they say, explain in your own words what an obelisk is. All right. An obelisk is a tall column. It's a tall column which casts a shadow on the ground. So that is the obelisk. Question 3 says, do you think that obelisks were useful to tell time when it was cloudy? So when it was cloudy, do you think obelisks were useful since they depended on the sun to cast the shadow? Then they say give a reason for your answer. All right, so my answer is when it was cloudy, There was no sun to cast a shadow. So when it was cloudy, there was no sun to cast a shadow. So as a result, they were not useful. They were not useful. Question 4. Question 4 says, list 4 proper nouns from the paragraph 2. When we go to paragraph 2, we look for proper nouns. So this is our paragraph 4. And then the proper nouns that we have here is Babylon. Babylon is a noun. We have got Egypt. We have got Mesopotamia. We have got the Greeks. So they say that we should list only 4. We list only 4. So the first one is the Babylonians. The Babylonians. And then the second one is the Egyptians. And then we have got the Mesopotamians. And the last one is the Greeks. So these are the proper nouns that are found in our paragraph 2. Question 5. Question 5 says, what do most people use to tell time now? Now. What do they use to tell time? So the answer is they use their smartphones. So they use their smartphones now to tell the time. Question 6 says, list 3 reasons why you need to know the time. Okay. You need to know the time so that you can plan your day. You need to tell time so you can know when to go to school and when to come back. You need to know your time so you will know when is breakfast and when is lunch or when is supper. Number 7. What were water clocks called? They call them clepsydras. Clepsydras. So this is the name of the water clocks. They call them clepsydras. Number 8. Explain in your own words how water clocks worked. So, water clocks were containers, remember? These were containers, and these containers, they had a tiny hole, in the bottom. So as water dripped, out, it marked the passing of time. Question 9. What invention did the Chinese use to tell the time? Explain how it worked. So the Chinese, they used candles. They used candles which were notched. So they told time by how it took for the candle to burn down. Okay, question 10 says explain what an hourglass is. So we explain what the hourglass is. So an hourglass had sand, which flowed from one side to the other through a narrow center. So it took a certain amount of time for the sand to do this. Then 11. Why do you think they built the first clocks in towers and churches? Give 2 reasons. So why do you think they built the entire why do you think they built the first clocks in towns and in towers and churches. So the answer is so that the entire village or town could see them. They were too big and expensive for individuals. They were too big and expensive for individuals. So those are the two reasons. They built them in towers and clocks so that the whole village or the whole town could be able to see. And the second reason is that they were too big and they were too expensive that people could not buy them, and they could not put them in their houses. So those are the two reasons. 12. 12 says answer true or false. So the first one says the first clock did not have minutes. And this is true. If you remember when we were reading the passage, they said the first clock didn't have the minute hand. All right. 12.2. The 20th century means during 1900s. And this answer is false. It's false. So question 13 says, find a word from the passage which means the same as number 1, noisy. When we say something is noisy, the word that we find in the passage is clunky. Clunky. So clunky still means noisy. All right. The word that means very old. When we say something is very old, we say it's ancient. Ancient. So when something is ancient, it's very old. 13.3, more or less. A word that says more or less. We say approximately. Approximately. So approximately means more or less. So the last one, made for the first time. When we say something is made for the first time, we say it is invented. It's invented. So invent means making for the first time. Then section B, language in context. So the first question says, replace the words in brackets. So you look at the words in brackets and you replace them with pronouns. And pronouns are your his, your she's, your her, your his, your theys. So these are pronouns and many other. You eat as well. There's a pronoun. So we have the name Karen and Karen here. So we want to replace them with a pronoun. So a pronoun of Karen is she went to the fun fair with, instead of saying Karen's cousin, it means we say with her cousin. Number 2, Peter and Paul went to Abdul's birthday. So here we have got 2 people, but we're going to replace them with one pronoun. Peter and Paul are they. They went to. Then Abdul will replace him with his birthday party. So the correct answer is they went to his birthday party. Number 2 says change this sentence to past tense. So you change this sentence to past tense. If we look at it, it has will, which means it is in the future tense. And now we're expected to change it into past tense. I will be going to the park to play soccer after school. So if we change it to past tense, it will be I went to the park. I went to the park to play soccer after school. I went to the park to play soccer after school. Number 3. 3 says change this sentence to future tense. So this should be in future tense. They are writing their English examination. They are writing their English examination. So in future tense, we'll say they will be writing. They will be writing their English examination. So, question 4. Add capital letters. So it means you add capital letters. You add punctuation to the sentence. I asked, do you know who the new teacher is? So the correct one is to start with a capital letter I. And you say asked. And after asked, you put a comma. You say I asked, comma. Do you know who the new teacher is? So remember, they say we must put punctuation. Then it means here you put your quotation marks, and then here you put a question mark because it is a question, and then you close it with quotation marks. 4.2 says, Bongani, Sipho, John, and Keenan are all in the soccer team. So when you look at them here, you'll see that Bongani starts with a small letter, Sipho, small letter, John, small letter, Keenan, small letter. And these are name of the people. And the names of the people are supposed to be starting with capital letters. So a correct one will say Bongani with a capital letter, Bongani. Then you will put comma, Sipho, comma, John, comma, and Keenan are all in the soccer team. Alright, so now we go to question 5, and this one says, use the correct form of adjectives in the brackets. Here they say, my mom is angry than I have ever seen her before. So it means we will say my mom is angrier. So we say angrier than I have ever seen her before. Then 5.2 says that is the delicious cake that I have ever tasted. So we say that is the most delicious cake that I have ever tasted. Then question 6. Question 6 says, circle the preposition in the sentence. So it means we look at the sentence and we look for prepositions. Remember, prepositions are the words that tells you where the nouns are, where the subject is. So the puppy jumped over the fence before running to hide under the chair. So the first preposition is over the fence, over the fence. And the second one is under. This one is under the chair, under the chair. So it tells us where. It tells us the position. Preposition tells us the position. Right. 7 says, rewrite this sentence and add suitable adjective. The dog jumped over the fence. So we can say a big dog jumped over the fence. So the word big is an adjective because it tells us how does the dog looks. It looks big. So it's a big dog. You can use words like the small dog. You can use words like the brown dog, the black dog. So those are the adjectives. 7.2 says, the teacher praised the children. So here we says, the good teacher praised the children. Number 8 says, circle the correct homophone in the sentence. So homophone are the words that sound the same. The bride and groom stood at the, do we say it's an altar or an altar? Which one is the correct one? This altar means change, but this altar means the table that is often placed at the front of the church. So this is the correct. The brakes on my bike work well. Which brake is the correct one here? This brake is the one of taking a period of time, but this one are the brakes that hold the wheels. They grip the wheels so that a car or a bike stops. So this is the correct one. Question 9 says, write your own simile with the word boy or girl. So you write a simile using the word boy or girl. So you can say, the boy was as strong as a superhero. You can say the boy was as strong as a superhero. Or you can say the girl was as fast as a cheetah. Thanks for watching this video up until this point. It shows that you are serious about your education. Remember, if you want to learn something, repetition is the mother of all learning. So it is very important that you keep on repeating this video until you grasp all the concepts that are explained here. If you feel that there are some things that I didn't cover in this video, please do not hesitate to put it in the comment section.